Hello, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and this is your weekly oracle card reading. And today I am using I forget the name of this deck, Earth Magic, the Earth Magic Oracle deck. Okay, so I'm going to draw one card for each portion of the upcoming week. And I just want to get sort of some ideas and insights into the energies of the upcoming 7 days. Okay, so I'll start with the first card. The first card represents Monday and Tuesday of the upcoming week. And we've got ceremony, invocation. So right at the beginning of the week, I feel like this is actually a very specific kind of direct message here. And that is that you want to when I think of invocation and ceremony, often that is doing something that feels special and doing it to either honor something, or if you're trying to manifest something, you're doing something that has a lot of intention behind it. Even if you're doing something to celebrate something, for me the key word is intention and power. So the beginning of the week is a good time to be really intentional about, what you're creating, where you're putting your energy, where you're putting your thoughts and your time, and what this week is going to be about for you. So what the focus of this week is, or what the focus of this month is even. And if you like doing things like rituals and ceremonies and things like that, then the beginning of the week is a good time to do that. But for me, the more general kind of message, which I think applies to everyone, is to get really sort of clear on what your intentions are this week, and maybe even do a little mini ceremony to kind of acknowledge what your intentions are. So even like writing a poem or writing something out, even I was going to say write a to-do list. Even that is, in some ways kind of like a ceremony of sorts. But getting really intentional about, what you want to accomplish or what's important to you. And then moving on to the middle of the week, so Wednesday, Thursday, we have waterfall. And the key word here is effortless. So if you look at like a river or a waterfall, there's a lot of movement happening, a lot of action, and it appears to be effortless. So a river never pushes, and a waterfall would never push. It's just simply happening. Gravity is doing the work, and the water is just flowing to where it needs to go. So it's something that just kind of happens. It's effortless. It's what happens when the elements simply do what they're meant to do. So when they're in their element, when they're natural, when they're just going with the flow. And so I feel like the message here is, don't push things this week. Find your sweet spot, or do what feels natural to you. Choose to do things that make you feel in your element, and go with the flow. So don't push against things. Don't try to force yourself. This is about being, choosing the path of least resistance. Now, I don't think this means, be lazy or, avoid things. I don't feel like that's what this is about, because if you think of a river, or a waterfall is never lazy or avoiding anything. It just is. And I think that is kind of the key here, is for you to just be yourself. And I know that's an overused statement, just be yourself, when in fact it sometimes is harder than it sounds. But I guess, do what feels natural for you this week, and practice effortlessness and choosing the path of least resistance this week, and see how that goes for you. So moving on to the end of the week, and I'm just going to zoom out so we can actually see this card. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we've got river. Oh, that's really cool because I was just going on and on about rivers. The keyword here is movement. So very similar to waterfall. Here we have river. So again, we continue on with the theme. So the end of the week and the weekend, there's a lot of movement. And again, this is natural movement. It's not movement as a result of a ton of effort or pushing on your part. This is sort of things naturally progressing at their own speed. Now when I look at waterfall, there's a downward motion, like a falling, and I get the sense actually of a sense of sort of release. And releasing something. And with river, things have calmed down a bit. It's a calmer card, and things are moving in a more, I guess, horizontal way than in a vertical way. And actually, I just had an idea. When I think of waterfall and this movement of water in a vertical way, as opposed to movement of water in a horizontal way, as in river, I actually see horizontal movement as representing physical things, so physical changes on the horizontal plane, so actual physical movement and physical progression and change, so seeing changes in your life happening. And then vertical movement is more, to me, more spiritual. This is more about changes centered within the self, so internal changes and progressing internally in a kind of more spiritual way. So maybe uncovering some spiritual truths, or even just understanding your own truth and getting centered within yourself. And once you do that, and once you have that sort of spiritual shifting, that's when the horizontal movement occurs. So that's when you see it reflected in your physical world. But the inner changes have to take place before you see outer changes. So I feel like that's kind of the theme this week, is work on yourself before you try to change others, or work on how you feel, and work on how you feel about things, and take care of that before you try to go out into the world and change things, or mold your life the way that you want. Before you try to make those changes and take action, do the inner work first. And I know this is going to sound confusing, but I don't necessarily feel like this reading is about this week. I feel like it's expanded. I feel like it's bigger than just this week. This might even be kind of the lesson of the month as well. So, because I don't see people, I don't see, you having a ton of spiritual awakening in just a couple days and then moving on to movement 2 days later. I think this is something that takes a little more time. So this is the kind of concept that you want to kind of sit with a little bit. I don't feel like it's just this week that this is the theme. I feel like this is a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to take a step back and see if I'm noticing any other things. To me, I just love this card, the river. It just feels very peaceful. And I think this weekend, you're going to find that things are moving along for you in a way that feels better for you. So if you felt like things have either been moving too quickly or too slowly, you're going to start to feel some nice kind of shifting and progression there. But you can't control it. Like if you're on a boat in a river, you might be able to control how fast your boat goes, but you can't control how fast the river goes. So that's another thing to just kind of ponder there. So you have a certain amount of power and control in your own life, but there's also a bigger sort of world at work, a bigger plan at work that you can't control. And sometimes that can actually be comforting in a lot of ways. So just taking a step back, at the beginning of the week we have ceremony, invocation, getting clear on what's important to us. Waterfall is about letting go, practicing effortlessness, and river is about that movement and progression of things. So I hope you have a wonderful week. My name is Kate, and I'm from dailytarotpearl.com.